Hi, so I'm Nathan, and I've been doing Japanese with the Ajatt or refold method for a year now. So I was going to make a update video on it, and I have notes so I can stay on track, so I can do this one quick. Because last time I tried filming, it took 30 minutes to get no ideas across. Also, it's super dark in here, so half of my face is gonna be light, and the other half is going to be super dark. Okay, first one. So remembering the kanji. So I didn't do the original RTK. I just did remembering or recognition RTK or RTK. And what I did with that was I had my notebook, and let's find a good one. I wrote down the kanji on the left, wrote down the meaning, and then wrote my story. Half these stories don't make any sense anymore, but that's fine, because the only goal is to be able to recognize them well, not exactly, I don't know, remember everything perfectly. So yeah, I'm able to read kanji. It's not very hard to learn any kanji. Usually I don't even realize I'm learning a new kanji. Like most of these I've forgotten. Or like now I have the Japanese equivalent to it. So it doesn't mean anything. And then I also did the Tango N5. That was good. Yeah, it was nice. One thing I do recommend is to not learn everything, because I would force myself to learn words I didn't want to learn. Like, I don't know, anything with the train station. All this train station stuff was not fun. I did not like learning that, and I wish I could just delete all those cards when I was learning them, because it just wasted a ton of time. But I did the same thing there, where I would, let's find a good page. Write out the sentence, write out the word I'm trying to learn again, and write the English equivalent. I'd put here furigana on top, but I don't exactly recommend doing that, because it took forever, and my penmanship is pretty awful, but yeah, that's what I did with N5 and Tango. Now I don't write anything down, that's just a waste of time. But next one, okay, Anki. Oh, I forgot to say today's date. Okay, so today is July 12th, 2020. I started July, 3rd or so I'm a week late. But I couldn't film because I was on vacation, but yeah, so my Anki, I have 3,100 cards, so it's not a lot. Very, very little compared to lots of other people, but I don't know. Anki, I don't hate Anki. I definitely do not hate Anki. It's been very helpful. But yeah, definitely after doing RTK, just because I went at the end, I did 30 kanji day, which was a ton. But, well, not a ton, but I just, especially since I was writing out all the stories, it would take 50 minutes every day. It was pretty taxing doing Anki, but now I'm fine with it. I don't do it a lot every day. Like right now, my average every day is probably 4 or 5 minutes. It's really nothing. I only have 20, maybe 30 reps I need to do, or reviews. So it's definitely not a lot. But that's also just because I don't add many cards, which that will come eventually. I'll be adding a lot more cards because I'm not doing as much reading now, but I'll get into that later. But yeah, I have 3,100 cards overall goal. So I'm definitely trying to do more of a listening-based approach instead of reading, just because I'd rather have a nice-sounding accent without having to put specific work into it after, doing a more listening approach definitely is slower, but I don't know, I'd rather have, if I'm going to use the language, which I'd like to be able to, I'd rather have it be just more accurate in my head, I guess. And so whenever I read, I don't make stupid pronunciation mistakes, like with devoicing or whatever, where you don't pronounce the word entirely, like kyoshitsu with the, was it the shi? I don't know. I definitely have that ability. I can hear whenever something is devoiced, and I can tell what is devoiced. I can tell it's that she or that Sue. I don't know. It's probably that she sound. But yeah, I'll go more into it with pitch accent. But yeah, I'm not doing nearly as much reading. Yeah, that's the overall plan. Monolingual transition. So what I did with that was I have Colbury, and I would look up words I did know, and I mined all those sentences. So I did that around like month 5 or 6 or something. So it was fairly somewhat early. It wasn't like super early, but yeah, that's what I did. I don't know. I can functionally mostly monolingual now. Like there are still some words that are difficult. Like yesterday, I was trying to learn a grammatical word. Like it was mai, as in like arumai, which yeah, but I haven't really done many grammar monolingual definitions. So then there's its own set of vocab. So I learned like 3 or so vocab related to grammar explanations. So I'm still definitely learning. I'm never going to really stop. And nouns are still definitely more difficult, but for most of the time I can usually find a good monolingual definition for adjectives and verbs. Not all, but like 80-90% of the time. And it definitely doesn't take a ton of effort to understand a lot of them. Like there are some that are more difficult, obviously, but yeah, monolingual transition, it was from somewhere between 5 and 8-ish months where I took most of the transition. And that was when I did more Anki. Anki reviews were more like 30 minutes instead of my average of 5 now, but yeah, that was good. I like that. Now I can use a monolingual dictionary because it's definitely very helpful. Okay, so pitch accent. Similarly, I'd use Colbury, and whenever I'd watch a show, which, yeah, I'm obviously making sure it's in, what's the word I keep forgetting? Just that Tokyo area, what is it? Kanto Chiho, make sure it's somewhere in there. Yeah, what I do is I have Colbury up with the NHK Pitch Accent Dictionary on the top. Whenever I hear a word, if I hear a word and I'm like, I initially tried to listen to what pitch I think it was, but then I'd look it up in Colbury, and I'd make sure. So if I heard, let's say Taiyo, and I can hear it's Atamadaka, and I look it up and it's Atamadaka, then I'm like, yeah. But I might listen to the audio clip from the NHK file, and yeah, just to get that sound in my head better or whatever. Now, obviously, if I miss the sound, like if I hear it as Atamadaka or whatever, something, it's Heiban or whatever, then I'd listen to it and I'd be like, oh, now I can hear it, and I'd go back and whatever Netflix show or whatever that I'm watching, I'd listen to it again. So I've done that a little bit. I'm trying to do it more. Soon, maybe starting today or so, I'm planning on doing a lot more of specific pitch accent study, I guess. Well, not study. It's more just like being able to hear it. So I'm trying to listen for specific words, look up in Colbury, and check, just to create that feedback loop of, oh, did I pass or fail? So I'm going to get more accurate to hearing the pitch accent. Yeah, that's all for pitch accent. My resources. Okay, so for listening, I don't know, I just use like YouTube or Netflix. There's also Viki. That has some good J-dramas and stuff, but not all of them, but that's mainly just listening. I just find like whatever I want to watch, and I watch that. I do listen to, I guess it's not as visual content, but more specific, just pure listening would be Hiroyuki's streams, and yeah, I have him as like my passive immersion all the time, so I'm trying to get very used to his voice. And the good thing is that he was born in Kanagawa, which is Kanto Chiho, so he has fairly accurate pitch accent, and it also kind of lines up with the date that Pitch Accent Dictionary came out in Colbury. There's a truck. But, so yeah, I also sometimes listen to him, trying to mind the pitch accent of what he's saying. But yeah, that's mainly with listening. For reading, drop those. For reading, as of right now, I don't have any books, but all this stuff is the truck again. All this stuff is cluttered on my desk, but this is like I never really finished this. This is Zenitendo. Probably got the pitch accent of that wrong. I don't even know. Whatever. But yeah, it's like it's like a child's story book thing. I didn't finish it. It's pretty boring. There's the truck again. But I didn't finish it. I'm like 120 pages in out of like 160, but that was over the course of like 6 months. I just really didn't read any of this. I mean, it's fine. If I were to go more of a reading approach, I definitely would have read more of stuff like this, because the stories are not exactly interesting, but they are a good, I guess, gateway into just mostly reading. Other books, I'm much more into, I guess you could say, like fantasy, like fiction kind of stuff. I'm not into like the non-fiction, like, I don't know, self-help kind of stuff, but I also do like, I am interested in more classical stuff like Natsume Soseki. So I have Wagahay wa Neko de Aru and Kokoro. Those are the only Natsume Soseki books I have now. I only have a total of like 5 books, excluding N5, but these 2 books, these are fiction. Can't even read the titles as of right now, but they seem to be interesting. I tried reading like a page of both, and they're still very, very difficult, but I don't know. I don't really have the desire to read these exact books right now, so it's fine. But in terms of games, I use these a lot more. So I have 3 systems in the DS line. This is the first one I had, which most of the games are in English. Some of the games are in Japanese. I use this one not nearly as much, but I have that one. I have the Japanese equivalent to that, but I do have 4 games that are, what is it? Yeah, 4 digital games on here, because, is it region locked? I think it is region locked. I think the 3DS is region locked. So yeah, I have 3 games, or 4, no, I have 4 games. I have 4 games on here that I play. I don't know, I use that one next, or more often. And here is a Nintendo DS Lite. It is not region locked, so it's just an American one, but where is it? I don't remember. I actually don't remember that, but I probably use this one. As of right now, I use it the most. Even I don't use much for reading resources, but out of all the reading resources I have, this is definitely what I use the most right now. The reason I have this, the main reason was so I can play Game Boy Advance games. So like I have Final Fantasy VI, Mother 3, and Golden no Tayo, or what, Golden Sun. I have those. I haven't really played these GBA games, but mostly I do use it. I do use the DS Lite for DS games. I have like a million boxes, which I'm glad I have all these boxes, but I have like a million, well, maybe not a million, but I have like quite a few Japanese DS games, and still more digital games, but most of these are story-driven games, like the逆転裁判/逆転Kenji games, and the Leitong Kyoju, or Professor Layton games. Yeah. I have, as of right now, I have every single game in the逆転裁判series, and all games but the Lady Layton games in the Professor Layton series. So that's cool. I haven't started much of Leighton. Mostly I've been doing just逆転裁判stuff. So I'm definitely comfortable with the vocab that's used, like correlated stuff. So yeah, that helps me learn. Like now I have like most of the correlated investigation related terms, so I can kind of learn all the other words that I'm just kind of missing. They're still part of daily conversation easier. I'm really trying not to get sidetracked, but yeah, in the逆転裁判series, there are 3 games, which soon it's going to be 1 because they're going to port 2 over to English officially. But there are 3 games that did not come out in Japan, or did not come out in America. They were only in Japan, and I have all of them. And so, since I haven't played any of the unofficial translations, it is cool because I get to finally have more new content for the逆転裁判series, just because I like the series a ton. Which, yeah, that's kind of like my key to reading a lot. There's my garage. The key to just reading a lot, because I just really like to play those games. So yeah, that should be most of the reading resources. I do have a Switch. I don't really play anything on it in terms of Japanese stuff, but I don't know, I have like Octopath Traveler. I don't know, that's like the only like good Japanese, that's like still somewhat text heavy game I have for the Switch, but just that. So now I'll just go into like my different abilities. So listening ability, it's not terrible. It's probably maybe better than the average person at my level and who's put in the same amount of time but maybe read more. I'm definitely fairly good. It's definitely not perfect. I can't hear everything very well, but I can hear most things. Super dark. I can hear most things well, like enough to where pitch accent for like stuff like atomadaka verbs, or not verbs, just any atomadaka word, it's fairly obvious to me. Where I don't know, I still have to put a little bit of conscious effort into listening for stuff like that, but I can usually hear most things. Well, I have all my Anki, or all the things in my Anki. Like I'd take most of the words do come from those逆転裁判games, and I'd find a jikyosha, whatever that means in English, a jikyosha who plays those games, and I'd take a screenshot and take the audio of his voice reading out the line. And most of the time I can read the words, but listening, I can't exactly do that with those words. So I have all of them in audio card format, just because I read a ton of the words over and over and over. So I don't really need to have more text-based cards. So I just have my Anki cards as listening. But yeah, my listening ability, it's not terrible. It definitely needs improvement, which is good because there's specific goals I can kind of go towards in order to get my listening ability up, which is nice. But yeah, that's my listening ability. My reading ability, it's not terrible. It's definitely better than someone who does absolutely no reading. Like I only have like maybe 20% of my time. Like now I've fully kind of stopped doing any reading, just so I can do more stuff on pitch accent and being able to hear that. But yeah, even like for like month 9 or 10-ish, it was only like 20% of my time. It wasn't a lot. And yeah, I avoided reading for the first 6 months entirely. Where like avoided just specific reading by itself. Like I would watch, like in the very beginning stages, I watched stuff with subtitles and stuff, which I think was overall, yeah, it was helpful to have subs. But yeah, I really avoided as much as I could, and I don't know, it's just hard because there's all this stuff I do want to read. But yeah, my reading ability, it's definitely not as good as someone who would do a lot of reading, but that's not exactly my goal. My goal isn't exactly to be able to read all these super difficult books within a year and a half or whatever, but yeah, it's definitely not terrible. Definitely worse on average than the average person who does as much time as me, but spent more time reading, but that should be pretty obvious. And then my output ability, obviously not very good at all. as of right now. I mean, my listening definitely has helped it, so I can, like, I can hear I can tell whenever someone, like, if a gaijin used the wrong, or if they used the English version of the R in Japanese, where it'd be like, I easily tell. In my output ability, I can get closer to. I don't think I'm nearly as good. I'm definitely not perfect, obviously, especially since I haven't had any practice at all. But my output ability, it's not, definitely wouldn't be the worst. Grammatically, I would be a lot worse than someone who read a lot, and same with word choice and word usage. But I don't know. I'm not exactly going to speak at the 1 year mark because it just doesn't really matter, because it's not really a good measure of your ability. But yeah, that should be mostly everything. Yeah, so I'll just keep immersing. Everyone else who's doing similar thing as me, keep immersing. Yeah, just find stuff you like, and yeah, that should be everything.